Hello everyone, Mondevu here, back with another quest tutorial for Path of Titans. I'm in Rockfall Hill, which is next to Rainbow Hills. It's this brown area right here. And this place can be a little frustrating to find quest items in sometimes because of the layout. It's a pretty biome, but it can just be a little frustrating to find the stuff you need, so you kind of have to pull together some of the tricks and tips from my last video on how to find items. Now, my first quest is Scattered Rubble. You're looking for a very specific type of rock, and you might think, oh, I should check rocks. And that's the right idea, but it's a very specific type of rock. Thankfully, I'm already close to it. You're going to be looking for this gray rock specifically, and all these scattered piles around it will be nearby. And they spawn in clumps of 9, so it makes doing this quest pretty easy once you know what kind of rock to look for. I think there's one place on the map where the rocks look a little different. I might be wrong. That might have been a temporary thing. But I could have sworn there was at least one place. But the vast majority of them all look like this. It'll be this gray rock and these gray clumps. Now, in some areas, you'll just get the clumps of gray rocks. You won't even have this big old rock here to help guide you. Oh, wow, there's some weird artifacting happening there. But like in some areas, you'll just have the piles of rocks that you have to look for. And that can be a little frustrating. But for the most part, you find this big gray rock, you'll find the clumps. And if not, you'll usually, in the areas that don't have the bigger gray rocks, you'll usually stumble upon the clumps. They won't all be clustered together like they are around the big gray rock. But you'll find like, oh, a clump here and a clump there, and you'll be able to knock it out pretty quick. You'll see this in places like White Cliff. And there we go. Now, flowers in this area can sometimes be a pain. And if you recall, in here we have to use our tricks from Hunter's Thicket, where you're either looking for bright red flowers, bright white flowers, which will look similar to the red ones that I showed you in Hunter's Thicket, just obviously the flowers are white instead, or you look on your map, on your mini-map, and you see that little green speck that I'm facing. That will be a little bit of a field, and I should be able to just find some yarrow flowers over there, and oh, ta-da, here they are. Right here. And so that's helpful for the flower quest. Usually the flowers come with the button mushrooms. That is, I'm convinced that is Path of Titan's favorite quest, because you'll get that one the most. Flowers and button mushrooms, flowers and button mushrooms. You'll always get this quest. Any place that has either of these items, you will get this quest. But Rockfall Hill does not have button mushrooms, so you will only get flowers. And now, as I said before, the yarrow spawns in clumps of 6. So usually what will happen is you'll get real close, and then you'll just have to find one more flower. And it's just like, oh, come on. And then you might run around going, where the heck are the flowers? So I'm going to see if I can find one of the other types of flowers that spawns in here. Now, unfortunately, these other flowers that do spawn in here, there's no real rhyme or reason for. Although now that I think about it, the white flowers I'm thinking of usually spawn near water. So, let's see. There's a lake in this area. The lake in this area is freshwater. So if you ever need water, that's a good place to go for it. However, beware, because, there might be a Sarco in there, or a Suco, or a Spino, or a Meg, or some other kind of semi-aquatic that just really kind of wants to screw up your day. And we've already seen a few of them. Oh, here, see, the red flowers spawn here too, so I could easily finish this quest off with some of the red flowers. You'll occasionally come across a plant called red ginger that also counts as a flower. Before I grab this one, I do want to see if the white flowers do spawn near the water in this particular place, because I've never tested that before. And I'll show you the white flowers I'm talking about when I find them. It might not be in this video, because like I said, I've never tested this before in Rockfall Hill, but in most areas it's where these spawn, it's always near water. I don't see any. Oh, and you remember how in my last video I was talking about succulents? Here's what the cactus looks like. A large part of the issue with finding quest items on Path of Titans when you're new is not knowing what you're looking for. So, there you go. Cactus and succulents, they both count towards the same quest. I don't see the white flowers here. Yeah, I don't see any of the white flowers. Okay, so we're going to go back up and grab that red one. Oh, whoops, I got to actually find the way back up. That's the problem with the Deinonychus, is you will regularly go down a cliff and be like, oh yeah, this is convenient, and then realize you have to go back up, and that's when it becomes just a bit less convenient. Even with this nice jump, you still gotta kind of find the path back up the cliff that you just fell from. see, those red flowers were somewhere. And the red flowers are one of those that just don't really have a rhyme or reason to them. But their being bright red is helpful. Let's see. You guys see more of the rocks? And you may have noticed I passed by some roots earlier as well. Roots in this area can be a little harder to find. But they're not... It's not like an impossibility. It's just mildly frustrating at best. Oops. You'll get stopped on a lot of rocks running through this area too. Like, it doesn't matter what you are, you're gonna trip over something. Let's see. I think there was a red flower up here somewhere. Nope. Ah, there it is. Oop. Careful. Holes are a thing. And there we go. Roots. I was just talking about roots. Now, as far as Rockfall Hill goes, roots are one of those items that, again, no rhyme or reason. But they are one of those items that you also kind of stumble upon. And because they come in, clusters of 9, pretty much just look down, you'll eventually find them. Also, if your game has the settings to be able to see these little decorative roots, sometimes they'll spawn around larger clusters of those as well. Sometimes, not always. It's not a guarantee. Let's see. These fake roots can kind of fake you out a bit, too. Finding roots in this area can be a little... Well, wait a minute, I thought this was easy. Well, it is, but like I said, you're gonna stumble upon them. Let's see, they're here somewhere. Doesn't help that I'm small, either. I've found that roots are a little easier to find when you're taller, actually. Oh, wait. Aha, see? There we go. Clump of roots. And I don't... Sometimes there's other roots nearby, other times there's not. I think in Rockfall Hill particularly, you're going to find these things pretty solitary. Like I just found that clump, but the next clump will be, a little further on or somewhere else or something. Because in other areas where there's roots, there's usually 2 or 3 clusters of roots gathered together, and you can knock your quest out real quick. Not so much in Rockfall Hill. Rockfall Hill could be a little frustrating in that sense. Ah, here we go. Wasn't too far from the original. Let's see. Oh, I see it. There we go. And that knocks out that quest. Sometimes just kind of taking it slow and not running everywhere could really help you find an item. I've actually found when I play as a herbivore, that's the best way to find all the berry bushes you need to eat from, is not by running, but by simply strolling, taking in the beauty of the map, and oh hey, look, there's a bush. That's kind of how that works for me. Okay, now succulents. This is a perfect time for me to explain to you what I did before, and now I can prove it. It says sharp obstructions. Well, a cactus is sharp, even though it says succulents. Again, they count towards the quest. Now, the cactus are a little easier to find in this area. It's another item that doesn't have a specific tell on where it is. You just kind of have to look for it. But thankfully, they are tall, so that makes it a lot easier to find them as opposed to finding the succulents, because both the cactus and the succulents spawn in this region. Let's see. So, see, I think I just ran over some roots. Yep. See, I just ran over them. Like I said, you'll stumble upon them if you're not paying attention. And usually the way Murphy's Law works in this scenario is the quest item you don't need is the one you will find the most of. Or it's the one your friends will find the most of, and you'll have to have them help you find all your quest items. Let's see. Cactus, cactus, cactus. Cactus or succulent. I will take either one. We'll take either one. Where are they at? Because I know I saw cactus in other places. I just haven't. I was focused on finding flowers. So here we go. I stumbled upon the succulents. You can see why this is hard to see in this area, because you've got all these taller plants around it, and even though it's kind of in an open spot, kind of following that similar succulent rule of it's in the open, it's not easy to see when you're small. When you're a bigger dino, these are easier to see. Oh, cactuses also spawn in clumps of 7. So, Sorry. Keeping track of the number of items in a pile is useful for when you're doing group quests and you're trying to share the load. My cousin and I actually found that out the other day. Or I guess she found out. I kind of already knew, but you know what I mean. Because the group quest will give you double the amount of. I can't word because I'm sick. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we'll take the current quest as an example. Sharp obstructions. Normally you get 35. When you have someone in your group, you'll get 70. And then if you split that down the middle, that's 35 each. So it helps to know the number of quest items per pile so that way you can keep track. And this is where Rockfall Hills kind of does not do so good. It's because I'm over here looking for stuff and I'm not finding it. I don't need flowers. I'm good on flowers. That quest is complete. Also, if you're ever struggling and you're in an area like this long enough, and you finally do complete the quest you needed to, your quests might reset. So just be aware of that. But on the bright side, you're not required to do those quests if you're just sick of an area. You can just move on and get new quests. And also, if you if you decide to stick around, hey, that's just more marks for you to unlock stuff with. The way that I play is I always prioritize my abilities first. Hey, there's some succulents. Come on, I pressed the shift key. My keyboard is dying. Is I always prioritize purchasing my abilities first so that I can fight back or escape as needed, depending on what the ability is. And then I prioritize questing for skins. Especially since skins will always be more expensive than your abilities. I don't think I've ever seen a single ability get higher than maybe 1,500 marks. And that's a maybe. I know that I think the highest I've seen for the most part is 1,200 marks. There's a few on the Deinonychus here that are about 1,200. Let's see. I just need one more pile. Ah, here we go. Cactus! Now, there is a resource map you can utilize that is sometimes helpful and sometimes not. The website is called Volnona, so I'll type it in here so you can kind of see. That right there is what the website is called. And it's got resource maps for the Isle and Path of Titans. For the map I'm using, it's Gondua. And while that's great for cross-referencing if you can't quite remember where an item is, I've found personally that just running around and doing the quests helps a lot. So you see, I've been in here long enough, even though it's 80% complete, it gave me the same quest again. It's having me do rocks again. So sometimes that happens. But also sometimes areas just don't quite have enough variety of resources to give you different quests. Like, I think the only thing out here are roots, succulents, and rocks. Yeah, roots, succulents, rocks, and flowers. So if you ever get more quests, you're going to have a repeat quest. And that just is kind of how this is. And you see at this clump, there wasn't a whole lot of those rock clusters that, there normally are. So now I got to go find more of them. Thankfully, I know in this area, those rocks, those big gray rocks, are a good telltale indicator of where more rocks might be. I think there's one up here. I could be wrong. Nope, that's just a burrow. I thought there was one up here. Maybe not. Another thing that you'll get... I haven't gone over this type of quest item yet. I'll cover it I'll cover it in detail in a different location. But there are some quests you'll get that'll be for replenishing a water source. And not all servers have these enabled. But like quests for replenishing a water source can be hit and miss because there's some places where the way you're supposed to do it is kind of glitched in that specific area, or it just does not fill up. And they're just, most of the time, they're not worth doing. It really depends on where you are. But like I said, I'll cover that in a different video. That one I might actually cover on a server because servers tend to have those quests. Or at least I know one of the servers that I main has that quest a lot. Let's see. Where are these rocks? I must have gone past them all. For a place called Rockfall Hill, there's not a lot of these gray rocks. Alright, let's see. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the way I do that really fast leap forward with the tail is as soon as I click the ability, we're talking like not even half a second afterwards, I hit the jump button, and that's how I get that fast forward leap. Although, just to be a little silly, you can also do that. Alright, let's see. Where are these rocks? I know I've seen more of these rocks. Oh, is that one? Yep, there we go. And like I said, I play on the computer, so I can't really cover controls, so I'm going to kind of do my best to just say what the button's supposed to do, as opposed to if you press X or something, for example. There we go. And that is Rockfall Hill. And, you know, you saw for yourself, sometimes the quests in this area tend to repeat. Really, the only other quest you can get is the one to replenish water. But I don't remember where the delivery point is on that, so I can't really cover it here. But I'll cover that in a different video, so I will see you guys next time.